The Atari Network is a fan channel and is not affiliated with Atari. The Atari logo and name is copyrights of their respective owners.
A few months back, I took a look at Animal Keeper for the Atari 7800 from Video61 Atari sales, and my intentions after that video, and still is, to cover everything that Video61 has made available to the Atari 7800. Venture is probably the game of theirs I was most excited to play, and because of that, it's the review I'm most excited to bring to you, at least from their catalog of games. I loved the Atari 2600 Redbox version of Venture, so the thought of having a more arcade-accurate version brought to my favorite console was exciting to me. But did Peter and Lance bring the arcade home to Atari fans? Or is it a dud that should be avoided in favor of games like Animal Keeper? Well, let's find out. Video61 has given us some nice options to start with, some of which might not make sense immediately. You can choose your control method, where you either stop and shoot in any direction, or move and shoot at the same time. That is, in whichever direction you're moving or facing. I find the default control method to be fine, and I don't think many will switch it, but options are always nice to have. You can choose what level to start on, but more importantly, you can choose to play the standard arcade version, which includes all 3 floors and all the rooms of the original, or the XE version that included a brand new floor complete with 4 rooms of monsters and obstacles. But best of all, there's an Atari 7800 mode, with yet another new floor and 4 more rooms, for a total of 2 new floors and 8 rooms altogether. I recommend playing the 7800 version, because Video61 added content that's not only good, but feels like something the original developers would have created. They really nailed the layout and the feel. It's just incredible work in adding this extra content, and I tip my hat to them for that. The graphics are nice, and I really like all the monster designs. The player character looks the same it always has, and that's a giant happy face with a bow. This is true to the original arcade version, but since they were adding new levels, monsters, and obstacles, I wish they would have made the player sprite as nice as everything else is, or at least given us an option to play with the original or an updated version. But whatever, we have what is expected. All the arcade monsters and rooms feel pretty good, and I haven't really encountered any issues within them. The music and the room transitions from the arcade are missing, but honestly, I really don't miss either of them, especially since Video61 did a good job with the music they included. I actually like the music, and the boing sound effects are pretty good too, especially considering that they use the stock TIA chip. Gameplay is solid and involves taking your hero around a large dungeon, avoiding hallway monsters in order to enter rooms and collect treasures. In some rooms, you'll have to kill all the monsters to collect the treasure and exit. In other rooms, you can just nab the treasure and run, and in a few others, you'll have to avoid obstacles to grab your booty and escape. The game does a nice job of mixing things up in different ways. Like in the spider room, where the initial enemies are actually decoys, meant to waste your time, and the real spiders won't spawn in until you grab the treasure. Or in the Cyclops room, where the enemies can teleport about and try to catch you off your guard. Better yet, there's the troll room, where walls block your path until you venture further in, and then the trolls are released into the wider area to attempt to kill you. The gameplay in rooms hardly ever feel the same, and it's brilliantly done to keep the game fresh. If you spend too long in any one of these rooms, the hallway monsters will bust in and attempt to kill you. Just remember, the hallway monsters are always invincible, both inside the rooms and outside in the hallways, so don't waste your time trying to shoot them. Just run. Too bad they are probably the dumbest looking enemies in the game. They could have used an update too, but again, they seem pretty accurate to the arcade. Overall, I enjoyed this version of Venture, even more so than my beloved 2600 version. And going back to that one to grab footage for this review made it evident how much better Video61's 7800 version is. Venture doesn't end until you lose all your lives. Even if you collect all the treasure on your treasure map, it'll reset to allow you to fill it back up again. And the rooms become harder and harder the longer you live, so the challenge ramps up nicely. If you can only afford one game from Video61 Atari sales, I'm going to have to recommend Venture. That's why I'm going to give this game 4 ProLine controllers out of 5. The added content designed by Peter is excellent, and feels right at home with the rest of the game. The options are nice to have, and the gameplay is very well done. The sound and graphics aren't arcade perfect, but are pretty nice for the console, and the challenge ramps up nicely as you progress through the game. Each of the monsters and rooms are varied enough to keep the game from feeling stale or boring. My cons aren't major, but worth pointing out nonetheless. I feel with all the great work Video61 did to the game, updating the player sprite and the hallway monsters would have been nice, and maybe there could have been an option to turn it off and on, for arcade purists. The arcade transitions are missing, but I honestly didn't care, and only die-hard arcade fans will notice. So there you have it, guys. Venture is my favorite Atari 7800 homebrew game released by the guys over at Video61 Atari sales. Do you agree that it's their best, or do you think I'm rating it too high? If so, what score do you think the game should hold? And have you played and enjoyed any other version of Venture? If so, let me know down in the comments below. With all that being said, I'm the 7800 Pro System Gamer on behalf of the Atari Network, and I'd like to thank you all for watching. Stay classy, my fellow Atarians.